Boom! We are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Coaches Podcast.
Hey, two coaches.
We are going to be talking about soreness today and how to freaking deal with it. Because a lot of people, when they're getting started, they're just getting started. They will go to the gym, they'll push really, really hard, and then they tear their bodies apart because that's what happens. All the progress isn't made during their time in the gym. It's made at night when you go to sleep and everything gets repaired. So they go nuts in the gym and then they wake up the next morning feeling like a truck hit them, and then they quit and never do it again because it's painful. And that's what a normal person would do. If you feel something painful, you don't do it again.
No.
So we're going to talk about exactly how to deal with that. What is your Coaches Podcast? Let's jump right into it. Nice. What's going on, man?
Not a lot of enchilada.
Oh,
I am
okay.
sore right now.
Yeah, I freaking hurt. I'm toe up from the flow up. So in the thumbnail of this video, there was a very model-esque picture of you fixing your hair behind your earphones, and you were telling me about a client. And I had to get it. I had to get it on fit. What happened?
I was stretching with one of my clients, and we were sitting there, and he does modeling here in town, and works for the school, works for a couple of universities, teaching kids how to be makeup designers and clothes. Like it's all fashion. And he's like, I know he's on the level,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
He's on the level. Anyways, I was stretching him out. Sometimes I'll do this. I was just like, hey, the reason you never asked me to be a model is because I don't have abs, right? It's because I don't have abs. Is that what it is? His face, he just went. No, have you ever been in acting? Have you ever been in acting? And I was like, what? No. Why? He goes, you just play any character. And I was like, it's because I don't have abs. Right?
So you're just gonna dodge the question, huh?
He said, you do. I've told him you do have a very nice face. I was like, you sound like my mother. You sound just like my mom.
Oh, dude, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast. My mom's gonna hate that I tell this story on to literally tens of 60s of people.
I think we have,
but I'll tell it again for all of our new listeners. So when I was a kid, I had a crush on this girl. We'll change her last name, but we'll call her Sarah. Last name redacted. And it was my first crush. It was the very first time I ever
sounds Italian.
Last
name redacted.
Is that a biblical name? But I had a crush on this girl, and so in my young mind, I thought, okay, I'm gonna plan together, and I thought of the foolproof plan of asking her best friend to go and talk to her and tell her that I like her, right, and then see what she thinks of me. You know what I mean? And it was brilliant. And so I did it. And so I went up to her best friend. I was like, Sarah, hey, would you go and talk to, her name was also Sarah. Can you go and talk to?
Too many Sarahs. That's
I know. It was a very small school. I don't know why that had any impact on the names, but so I waited for like days to get a report, which I thought I was due like later that afternoon. But so I went out and finally found her. And I was like, hey, like 3 days later, I was like, hey, so what did she say? And she goes, oh, she doesn't like you and she thinks you look funny because of your moles. I was like, Jesus Christ, you could have at least left the last part out. You have to make me like self-consult. And that was like early morning. Like I'll never forget it. It was like during the middle of the day. It was like early in the day. And so I went the rest of the day just like wallowing in it. It sucked.
So sad.
And so like later on that day, so I don't think my mom picked us up right away. I think my grandma watched us after school, so my mom picked us up a little later, right? So so I was just kind of sitting there and I was just like in my own head about it. I was thinking about it a lot. And we were driving home, and I'll never forget. No, we did go to my grandma's because I remember the street we were driving on. It was Babcock as we were going down here in San Antonio. And I was sitting in the back seat and I was like, hey, mom. She was like, yeah. I was like, am I handsome? And she goes, and I saw her like tip the little review mirror in the back to look at me. And she goes, you know, Rob, you're a great guy.
No. You're like, gets the window.
And she goes, you might never be like one of the beautiful people of the world.
She was trying to tell you, look,
she goes,
she was saying, kill your idols, manifest your own destiny.
Oh, yes. Well, and like now that I'm a parent, I totally see what she was driving at, right? Like what she was going for. She wanted, she wanted
hard truth.
She was, you're probably gonna lose all your hair one day.
I'll be honest with you. It's gonna be rough.
She, beauty fades. So she was like trying to hone in on that personality.
I don't know if you've told the whole story like that before, but I know we've talked about it. And I know I've heard it several times. Every time. Every time I'm like, this is such a good story.
Oh.
I've tried, like, when you start to sympathize and empathize with people enough, you practice, it just becomes second nature. I can see myself in the car just telling you, like, you might not ever be like one of the beautiful people, but I love you.
And that's all I care about, man.
Like,
dude. Yeah. God, we're like an old married couple now.
Somewhere in their mom minds, they're like, if she ever does that again.
Well, that's the thing. Like I never told I never told her about it until later, like the nature of that question, like where that was coming from.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "No, you were 100% right."
Yeah.
It's not about, like, beauty fades. It doesn't matter. Like, what do you got? What do you got underneath? Anyway,
moms just know what to say.
I can't believe that I've told you that story before. And apparently several times. It's like an old married couple, man.
Every time I'm like, tell it again.
Tell that story.
Do it. Do it.
All right, man. So you're sore right now. What do you do, coach, to not be sore the next day? Tell me.
So, I think like the go-tos for me have always been trigger point, right? Trigger point, myofascial release,
always good.
Heavy duty massage. Now, I think the only reason though I love that so much is because it leaves me with such an immediate relieving feeling.
Right.
So that's also like, think about it, like neurologically, your body's like for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it feels pretty good for a while. The stiffness kind of comes back, and it does break up. There's some science behind how it actually like breaks up the tissue, but that always is my go-to. I've been trying to be tip top on my water. Like, not that, and I'm always hydrated. I always drink water, but I think being on track of like how much you're taking in every single day helps build those habits of like, oh, I'm thirsty. Cause your brain's like, yeah, I got to drink my water. That's part of what I do.
Right.
I got to drink my water. But if you're not practicing, I think it's easy. It's too much of a burden. You're like not drinking enough water. And then your body can't utilize it. And then your food.
Right.
Like this?
Yeah.
A little better?
Way to take away my discreetness.
Oh, well, I was like,
he was we were losing Michael's audio a little bit, so I went like this, and then his eyebrows went up.
I was like, take a drink. What are you trying to get me to do? This is a family show.
It is a family show, and it will always be, but not for kids. Yeah. Anyway,
I think like this week. So we're in a new cycle, and we're working people in a different way. We just came out of a different one, and we're going to continue growing throughout the year through these different phases. But all in all, like the ability to come into the gym and get a hold of a workout, and with whatever's on your board or your screen or your app or whatever it is that you're recording, being able to come in and like mix it up enough based on what your goals are is always a great thing. However, this week this week trying to make like the pull-up days, like our pull-up day. We did pull-ups, we did negative pull-ups,
Right.
and then we did the single arm pull downs with the bands. We did like a lat pull down.
Right.
Those two exercises, I took it into my brain and was like, all right, this would be like if I was going to go into, back in the gym, and I would go in there and hit all the machines, all the back machines, seated rows, lat pull downs, bent over rows, all these different flies, pull-ups, just like as many things as I could get in an hour or so.
Right.
Sometimes I can remember spending like with some of the bodybuilding guys and peeps, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like of just back.
That's crazy.
And it felt great because you're just like,
how did you not get freaking bored as
strong?
As
and that's
hell
what.
with that?
So it's interesting. Like I was just thinking about that too. I jokingly told the classes the other day, like for strength training, as far as an aesthetic look goes, you do the same 20 moves over and over until you die, and then you win. That's what you do. I said Arnold and all them, like they mixed them up, but they did the same things.
Right.
You have to really, you have to be really find what it is that your niche is, I think, to be able to do that. But like during the pull-up day, I thought about all those back things. I was like, all right, I'm going to make this burn. So I went as slow as I possibly could. I used a band when I needed to. And I told you the other day, the class, I was like, go slow. They were like, how slow? I was like, freaking slow.
Yeah.
I even had to tell myself, like, all right, let's go as slow as possible then. Let's do it. And I was up there forever. But yesterday and today, they're like so sore. And it's a great soreness because it's not like I didn't hurt myself. I didn't tear anything.
Right.
But I used my lats.
Yeah, man.
A
Well,
lot.
whenever you go slow, for all of you beautiful people listening at home, if you really want to get sore and tear up some muscle, that's one of the best ways you could do it is with an eccentric tension as you go through. And so working a negative like a pull-up. So you get your chin above the bar and then just real slow, as slow as possible, you let yourself descend until you've completed the bottom of the rep. That rips people apart more than anything else.
I was telling them, like, with this cycle that we're in now, the two ways that you can really like capitalize on some of this tissue breaking down and building back and looking aesthetically pleasing, but as well, and there's some variation. There's some variation in how strong it is and how good it looks, and vice versa. Like, yeah, you can have both. But as far as what we're talking about this cycle, I was telling them, for those of you that need it, we might have to make some adjustments and go for strictly kind of a volume-based, still good technique, good repetition. Nothing about it needs to be faster than the ordinary, but you might be having to go up on reps and keeping it nice and light because your shoulders aren't able to do this one move or whatever the heck. Like, you got to be comfortable with that. And then on other things, the other way that we're trying to tackle it is by tacking on a bunch of weight, a fair amount of load, and going real slow.
Right.
So your body weight, even with band help on a pull-up, like, can be quite a bit on your lats if you're really targeting them.
And so when you're looking at breaking down tissue, right? So if you're going to get really sore, that means you're going to be doing some sort of resistance training. You're going to be in an anaerobic state, right? You're going to be pushing your muscles beyond what they're comfortable doing, right? And if you do that correctly, then especially if your goal is size and or strength, then you're going to get some micro tears in the fibers, and that's what creates soreness. That's what creates what we call DOMS, D-O-M, delayed onset muscle soreness. So you get your DOMS, you get your tearing, you go into the next days, the muscles are damaged, and so you have what we refer to as soreness. So your lats are tore up. How do you fix that? You said water, myofascial release, which myofascial release, that is where you take mechanical tension, right? Exterior tension. So Michael's lats, these are your lats right here. So what Michael would do for that is he would get either a ball or a foam roller. You could get a Theragun, a jackhammer thing, and place that on the actual sore spot, right? And when you apply pressure over about 20 to 30 seconds, the muscle forcibly relaxes. If you want to look it up, it's something called the GTO, the Golgi tendon organ, forces the muscle to relax. Really interesting stuff if you're nerdy like me. So once that muscle relaxes, it gives you that immediate relief. You're like, oh, thank God. It's still sore, but it's not as tight, and it feels like you can move around a little bit better. But that's also a temporary thing, right? How long does that last for you?
So I always, once you've done like some trigger points and some like legitimate myofascial work and torn up some tissue, you can you can kind of decide based on how sore you are, what you want your pressure to be, and coming out of that pressure is going to be how long it kind of lasts. So like
Right.
you're really, really digging in, it's going to hurt quite a bit. Now there's also something before I like that because of the immediate relief, right?
Right.
Let me just preface that by saying like, that's not something bashing down on your muscles and they're nice and torn up. Is not really the concept behind it anyway. You know, that is what ends up happening. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's do it. But breaking it up is a big one. And then freaking rest.
Right.
Like rest and mobility, just stretching and allowing your body to move. You did that. It's hard. It's a hard concept to think about, especially after coming out of or seeing, I guess, maybe let's say you didn't work out for 2 hours one time doing back. Like, let's say you've never done an hour of shoulders.
Right.
Fine. Not a big deal.
Which I would say most people have not done.
A lot of people, I mean, I think a lot of people have at least maybe gone through a workout where it's like this body part at the gym because that's what Google says. And that's what you're supposed to do. And that's, I mean, it really depends on your goals.
Right.
But I think one of the big things is like, once you start learning and you start educating yourself on it, you're going to know how to make yourself sore. Like it's easy.
Right.
And you know, when you're not sore, you know, if you stop for a second, you know whether the difference is because you're not trying that hard and you're not really tearing up some tissue, or it's a purposeful, like if you're actually moving with some integrity, just maintaining the strength that you have.
Right.
Like you might not really get sore. It depends on your individual goals.
Yeah.
But the rest and recovery is big too. And making sure that you have done that session of tearing, allowed the body to recover before you decide to tear it again. You know, chest, legs, back, shoulders that's all great.
Right.
If that's your goals.
Right. And you're talking about like, that's the
be.
classic bodybuilder split.
Well, I guess that's the easiest one to kind of talk about because it's a lot of people know that. Like if you look it up, it's going to give you a good general workout ability on in a gym. You look up, hey, like what should I do? It's going to give you here's shoulders, back. Here's a breakdown of how these people do it.
Yeah.
And then if you get real specific, you can find like a CrossFit thing. You can find like a martial arts thing. You can get real specific with it.
Right. Find your niche that you really like.
All in all, after playing around with it for a little while and getting help and learning, you'll know like exactly what you need to do to get pretty dang sore. Because I knew when I was on the bar holding that pull up and coming down real slow, I was like, you're going to be sore. Like the whole time I was like, you're going to be real sore.
Yeah.
But I knew that. And I was trying to tell that to everybody. Like, listen, it's not so much about how sore you want to be, but you just need to be smart. Like get some help. I don't care I don't care how hard you pull if you want to do a full pull up, but like get your chin over the bar and get some contraction back here and feel those muscles work. And I was going around trying to like poke everybody.
Right.
PVC pipe. I was like, no, right here.
Yeah. So the first step of obviously getting over soreness is making yourself sore.
Yeah.
Which is, to your point, that's not always the indicator of a fantastic workout.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it is, but
we're just talking about fitness too. We're just talking about
Yeah.
working out. Like we're not even talking about just like general soreness, like from the day, whether you have a sore back or like chronic pain.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, like we're talking specifically about exercise and getting over that soreness.
I didn't even think about that. That's a really, really good point. There is a huge difference between, you know, somebody who's a dentist and they're always leaning over, I assume, I don't know what dentists do all day, but they're open mouths all day. And so a tore up back from that is different than your lats right now.
Yeah.
But for the fitness thing, which is what we're talking about, drinking plenty of water, like you said, a little bit of myofascia, if you're down for that kind of thing. It hurts. If you've never done it before, it's not comfortable. You're literally tricking the body into thinking the muscle's about to tear, and so it relaxes it.
Yeah.
So it's very, very painful because of that, because of what it has to do. Then a lot of sleep. Typically, a grown person is going to need at least that 7 to 8 hours. Get that at least 7 to 8 hours, and then stay hydrated. Did I say that one already? I might have said hydration twice.
You started with that, but
it's because it's so important.
It's very important.
It's so important. I'm going to mention it twice.
2 times the important. You know.
Yeah. I mean that, and then also if you stretch right after your workout, that is freaking huge. That is a preventative thing. You won't feel the soreness. You'll recover a little bit quicker. It's a superpower.
Yeah. I think all in all, one of the biggest things to remember is like what's your overall goals? What's the direction you're headed, and how is health and fitness fitting into that? Like how are you not how are you fitting into your health and fitness? Like how does health and fitness need to be molded? How does it need to be figured out so that it's fitting for you. What's going to make sense soreness wise? Can you afford to be sore? Can you afford to like stand in front of the conference in front of all these people and be like, I just started working out a bunch and I don't think this, I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Let's all be healthy to get like, you got to play into you got to figure out what your hand is and then play it, let it go, let it change, let it be malleable. And start freaking slow. Start slow. We're talking about how to get over soreness. Some of you, which I've been there too on my own. I'm like, I haven't worked out in a while as a trainer still. Like,
right.
When's the last time you worked out? Like religiously? A while. When's the last time you worked out? Like when you're in it, you're like, this morning.
Yeah. That's the only acceptable answer.
I got to go for a run later, but what do you mean? Like it makes sense once that becomes habitual, right?
Right.
But you just starting out, coming in here and doing the warm up, you might be like, my legs are kind of nodding up. I feel it's natural. First of all, that's going to happen. Your body's reacting to like, hey, what the heck's going on up there? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It just goes, it can't see like you can see. It's just down there reacting to what's being put in and what's being put out.
Yeah.
So you decide what that is. And all of a sudden you change the output. It's like, okay, hold on a second. How about this? You're like, I got a cramp. You fall to the floor. You're like, man, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I'm like, well, you just did 100 squats. Told you to do 10.
That was me on when did we do Norwegian leg curls? When did we do those?
Wednesday.
Was that Wednesday? Okay, so it was Wednesday then. So it was that same freaking day. So on Wednesday, we did hamstrings, right? Norwegian leg curls, tore up the hamstrings, which is this back part of your leg.
Well, that was yesterday.
Was that yesterday? No. Yeah. Yes, it was. Okay, whatever. My legs were really, really sore on Wednesday when we went to Krav Maga. So Elizabeth and I, my wife and I, we do Krav Maga on Mondays and Wednesday nights to learn how to beat people up. Now, defend ourselves.
Is there a Krav Maga noise? Like I know in karate, it's Kia.
I make a lot of noises. I used to train in Krav Maga with my dad a long time ago. And apparently there's one time we were running a drill. He had to go for a minute. We just had to strike the bag, man. He had a tombstone thing on his chest. And he's going, yeah. Well, he was like, come on. And they started giggling. He started laughing. And I was like, what is wrong? And he's like, I'm so sorry. Just keep going. La, 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 la. End of the drill happens. I'm exhausted. And he's freaking cracking up. And he goes, I am so sorry. You were making sound effects as you were hitting. You were like, boom, pa, cha, boom.
No wonder you're so out of breath.
And I was like, yeah, man, like it wasn't intentional. I was just doing it. Anyway, so
you are the anime that you create in your own life.
You have to be your own main character. So anyway, so we're sitting there in Krav Maga and we're running through these stretches and my freaking hamstring knotted up like crazy. It's right here. I still feel it. It's real. It's really, really sore. And so that happens from like a lack of electrolytes, over torn muscle, all kinds of crap can contribute to that. Did I tell you what happened later on in the workout? Did I tell you about that?
No.
So at the very end, so Elizabeth is really, really small. For those of you who don't know,
you never tell me anything.
I tell you everything.
Just stories about your mom.
Just the same story again and again. We're just ripping you apart.
I love you.
So my wife is much smaller than me. She's, I don't know, maybe 110, 115 pounds, something like that. About 5 foot even. So she's really, really small. And so we're there and we're hitting each other. I'm like, yeah, bam. And I'm punching a bag that my wife is holding. She's flying all over the place. So we switched, right? So there was a big drill that came up, and we all had to like start throwing knees into the bag and doing all this like very aggressive, very physical type stuff for the drill. And so I was like, hey, there's a couple over there. Why don't we switch? I'll partner with him and you partner with her. And so, but by the end of the class, it was me, this guy that I had been partnering with, who was, I mean, the dude had to be about 6 feet tall, and he was just getting started. He was not in great shape. But the dude, I mean, the dude had a lot of power and he had a lot of heart. He was just a freaking, like, you could tell he was like, I'm gonna fight. I'm here to fight. I can do this. It was awesome. Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So that was him. He probably had a good 50, 60 pounds on me. And then these other two dudes, they look like bodybuilders. I don't know exactly like what they trained in, but they looked as though for at least a small stint in their life, they had dabbled in the bodybuilding, right? They were gigantic human beings, just big old, yeah, man, just jacked hunks of man meat. And so we started the drill. And the drill was you had to grab a guy, you get him by the trap, and you get him by the tricep here, and you throw knees. And the other two dudes who are in a group of 4, so you are the defender. One guy does a choke, you get out of the choke, and you put him into this hold as best you can. And then the other two guys are that guy's friend. That's the beautiful thing about Krav Maga. It's kind of like real life situation. Those two friends are going to try to get at you. And so you have to throw this guy, which is freaking impossible because there's 2 of them. So they split up, and you're like, ah! So these 2 guys try to rush you. Anyway, so we start throwing knees, and I hit like one of the big guys, and he goes, and he was like, oh, like you could tell that he kind of felt it. So I was like, bam, bam. So I was like working the knees, and we get done with the drill. It's only like a 30-second drill. So we get done with the drill, and the guy, he was like, oh, that was real good. I was like, yeah. And he hit real hard too. Like it freaking got me in the sternum. Anyway, we get done, and that guy was like, yeah, man, we got like 1,000 pounds of beef over here. We're all having a good time. And I was like, Angus. Yeah. And then his buddy, who was like the bigger bodybuilder guy, turns to me and he's like, yeah, but I'm like, some of us are bigger than others. Like that. And I was like, you sure are, big guy? Like,
yeah, but you that wagyu beef.
Yeah. But I freaking love it. So like that dude, obviously those guys happen to be on their first day as well.
Oh, yeah.
But I love meeting guys like that. I love talking with those dudes and seeing them in Krav Maga, because like in those dudes, if they continue training and they get there and like if they continue with the endurance, because fighting is such a freaking physically endurance wise demanding sport and activity. If they get their endurance up and they continue like practicing, those are going to be some dangerous human beings. They were just like hitting them was like hitting a tractor tire. They're just thick. Their freaking necks are like freaking out to here. It was so I like it's like, oh, you got to keep training, Elizabeth. We got to keep training because those people exist.
Yeah,
we got to keep going.
It's good to train stuff like that. It's good to fit. Like I think like working with some of our newer people here in the gym, like what we're working for and the things we focus on now, it's easier to tell somebody like, look, slow down, chill out for a second. I want you to be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And come on in here as many days as you can and learn. And
right.
When before, if you're not working on your own things and like trying to perfect and like make things work, it's real easy to just be like, well, here's the workout. Like obviously you can make somebody sore and make sure they're safe and do the techniques. But I've noticed people coming back in, like instead of them being like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm like, where you been? I saw you on Monday. It's Thursday. Like, what's up? Now it's like people coming in on Monday and then they're coming in back in on Tuesday and they're walking in and they're like, I'm sore. I'm like, awesome. Hop on the rower. Let's get a little loosened up. Oh, we're going to start the workout in 10 minutes. Or
are you talking about like the culture of it? Like,
yeah,
still, even though you're sore, we were
still
talking, moving.
When you asked me, you were like, talk about being sore. I was thinking about it. And like a lot of our talks end up getting like real deep. And like we end up sometimes we're trying to figure out what to say, but like that one, that's a good one. Cause soreness it's inevitable. And it's honestly, it's easy to get to until it's not. Then you're like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, what am I not eating right? Am I not sleeping enough? Am I not working out right? Like, am I not pushing hard enough? You're probably sore. Maybe you've gotten used to some of the soreness. Maybe you've gotten used to some. Maybe you've calloused out a little bit, and you're walking around with tight hips, and you don't even notice it. Like you're sore essentially. You have some tight hips, and it's causing you pain. And you're not able to perform the right way. We were talking about that last night with some people. I was with some of the evening peeps about like performance. Like performance is important, but performance, it doesn't mean this, or it means whatever it does to you. So like if, ripping 2-a-days and being sore and like do it, if that's your thing, that's okay. But you've got to make sure that you're doing all the other stuff to counterbalance all the negative outcomes that could come from overworking and not sleep.
Right.
You got to make sure you're sleeping and all that stuff, getting enough rest. But like I see some people coming in here, looking like the same as me, looking like the same as I do. I'm like, what's up? They're like, man, my lats hurt real bad. And that's good to hear, as opposed to like, oh, I didn't see you, yesterday.
Yeah.
Like being sore is a good metric. It's a good tell sign for your progress.
Yeah. And like what I tell people is the soreness should never go away. If you're optimized in your training and that's your goal, is to build muscle, and then you should be tearing fibers. The process of building muscle is you mechanically tear the fibers, micro tears, and they come back stronger. Well, those tears, that's an injury. It's a very controlled and deliberate injury. And so, yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
But so the pain is always going to be there if you're optimized.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right, if you're using progressive overload, you're always pushing your limits, then you're always going to feel some kind of soreness. So the pain doesn't go away, but you do get better at living with the pain.
Yeah.
You're like this whole week, man, we've been in just a perpetual state of owie.
Owie. What do you think about like, I guess not so much maintenance is not the thing that I'm thinking of. Like, what do you think about how would you go about figuring out the best protocol for setting up where you should, like, how many days a week do you need to be sore to make sure you're doing like, how do you implement soreness into your register of things that you're doing in your fitness life?
Right.
To show how do you use it? How can you utilize it to kind of progress yourself? Like, how do you listen to tell yourself, I need to rest? Is it when the toilet seat feels lower? Is it when you're like, oh, I need to stretch and this is tight, I'm making it tighter? The only reason I'm saying that is because I was thinking about it. There's some people here, like and myself included, with like my hips, and it stems from my knee injury and stuff, right? But like being in a perpetual state of tightness, I came out of our conversation like, healthy muscle is soft, is relaxed. Healthy muscle is soft. And the only reason that came up was because somebody asked, how come sometimes you look super buff and sometimes you look super slim? But it's only because I've been trying to optimize a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not as freaking tight as I normally would be when I'm bodybuilding myself and not mobilizing or eating the right way. And I'm just like super buff looking, and people are like, you look huge. And I'm like, I feel like garbage.
Yeah.
Soft muscle. Healthy muscle is soft muscle. It can be sore for sure, but it shouldn't be always freaking just like rock solid tight.
Yeah. To answer your question, it does depend on your goal, right? How sore you want to be. But if you are training for strength and size, right? Those two are not inclusive, by the way. They are different things.
Yeah.
You can train for size, and you would, if that's what you want, you would train for strength in a different way. But there's a little bit of overlap, and they both involve muscle tearing. So if that's your goal, then I always recommend being sore roughly like 2 to 3 days, no more than 3 days on a given body part. Now, that soreness should rotate through your body, right? If you're like the programming that we do, we focus on a given body part for one section of our workout, and then the other one is a metabolic conditioning where we work on VO2 max, or we work on your overall, we stay in zone 3 of the heart rate for a little while longer. It's more of a full body thing. It's a part of functional training. But the first part is where we hone in on a body part, and we isolate either a single muscle or a muscle group, and that should circulate throughout the body throughout the week. So you should always be healed just in time for the next hit. And that usually is a good split for that is about 48 to 72 hours where you're back and you're like completely healed. But one of the biggest things, to your point, which I think is something that comes solely from experience, because it's not intuitive at all, is when you are really, really sore, you need to go and work out.
Yeah.
If you're super, super sore, one of the best things that you can do is go for a walk.
Yeah.
Is come to the gym and hop on the bike, maybe do a workout. Even if that workout isn't at full intensity, even if you're just kind of pushing it like 50, 60%, that's fine. But movement is one of the best things that you can do for your muscles because it allows for the muscles to stay limber.
Yeah.
If you get real sore, if you think about it, if you have a thing of clay, right, and you work it, right, you kind of mush it all up and you get it real malleable, and which is what you're doing essentially with your muscles when you're tearing it apart. And then you take that muscle and you stick it in the freezer. What's going to happen? It's going to get real hard and not malleable, and that you're going to end up with that muscle that you were talking about. But then if you just leave it at room temp, and then the next day you come back and you kind of massage it gently, then it's going to regain its pliability, and that's what you want for your muscles. That helps a ton. So to recap, lots of water, about a gallon a day, or you could do, 3 ounces per body per pound of body? No, 0.5 ounces. Holy crap, I'm getting all my metrics confused. Just do a gallon a day. Getting your 7-8 hours of sleep, a ton of protein. The jury's kind of out on that. You could do anywhere from 0.8 grams to like I think the high end that I saw was like 1.8 to 2 grams of protein per body. That's really freaking high. I keep it real simple. Recommend a gram per pound of body mass. And so water, sleep, get your protein in, and then move. Yeah. Stretch out a little bit by moving around. It's one of the best things you can do. And you can enhance your recovery time by stretching immediately after your workout. That has been a freaking game changer for me. Yeah. It is like a superpower. You get to heal faster, which means you get to push harder in the next workout. Better results faster.
Those are all like, and we give them to everybody, and then we sit down and talk about it with our members and our clients and stuff like that. Like, there's going to be some general recommendations. You can look online and research for yourself to see where some of the things come from. But honestly, like, there's, the difference between if you're drinking enough water, meaning like you don't drink any water at all. I have coffee, I have tea, I have, Gatorade or whatever. Like, how much water are you drinking a day? And if it's not more than like, at least like 3 or 4 glasses of water, like you're not drinking enough water at all. Like 3 or 4 of those is probably close to, if not a liter. And you need to at least be taking that in. So drink as much water as you can. Nutrition, like you said. And then I think one of the big things that I've caught myself saying a lot to newer and vetted members of the gym and to my one-on-one clients. And I've said it over the years, but I think just making it a part of my actual training regimen, protocol, everything, my approach.
Oh my God.
It's been developed over the last few years. And one of those things is like, it's going to take some freaking time. Go slow. Like, maybe you're into CrossFit. Maybe you're into to getting freaking huge. Maybe you just want to be skinny, quote unquote, like
slim thick,
whatever the case may be. Slim thick. That's my favorite, dude. I might stay there for the rest of my life. But like, wherever you're comfortable being and wherever your goals are, like, slow down and appreciate the first day of walking in, and like, you can't barely walk the next day. Like, and you didn't even do that much. Honestly, like, you've probably done harder things in your life. For most people, you've probably done something more difficult than that one workout. Now you're freaking super sore. Don't take it as like this big reason to be like, oh, I'm so out of shape. Like, yeah, well, you knew that the gym for the first time after a year or 6 months or whatever.
It's literally why you're here.
No big deal. Now, with whatever you're into, whether it's Krav Maga or what have you, like, now it's time to build that program and get the vision going and try to get some goals fluctuating through the dailies so that you can get your habits built and that you can practice this stuff so that when you're sore, it's like, I know exactly what I'm sore from. I know exactly why I'm this sore or I'm not that sore. Right. And I know exactly what I need to do to be ready to be sore again next week or 2 weeks from now, or get ready for vacation or the wedding coming up, or looking in the mirror every morning by myself, like whatever it is.
That's a really freaking good point because, guys, it's really easy to make yourself sore. Go do 100 bicep curls.
I was just thinking, go do 50 air squats as fast as you can, especially if you're like, if all you do is work and then come home and work and come home, maybe walk the dogs here and there, like go do 50 unbroken squats real quick,
as hard as you
just
can.
boom, 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 boom. And your legs will get sore.
Yeah.
Do as many push-ups as you can, rest for a little bit, and then do it again. Do as many push-ups like for like 10 rounds, whether it's one push-up at a time or not. Like something's gonna tear up.
Yeah. You're gonna be freaking sore.
Yeah.
That's not the sign of that's not necessarily the sign of a good trainer or a good workout or any of that.
I think sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
I think I'm just thinking about what you're about to say. Like I can see more than 10 people in my head, like face to face. Like, well, if I don't do this, I feel like I didn't get a good workout. I could just see them all. I could see them all.
It hurts me to hear that.
Well, like I said,
but I get it.
In one of our podcasts, I said, like, sometimes you have to appreciate the fact that you like when the workout's shitty and it's just like ugly, and you're like, I'm gonna do all these freaking burpees. I'm gonna sweat, and I'm also gonna make sure my technique is good and rest when I need to. But I'm gonna kill it. And it's not a moderate workout. It's not a maintenance day. You're not trying to get a little sore. You're trying to break something off, and that's kind of what happens in the brain. I get it. But to convince yourself that you are, and some people are, and those people, but to try to convince yourself when you're not, that you are functional and able-bodied enough and fit and you're fed enough and hydrated enough to perform like that.
Yeah.
And then wonder why you feel like garbage.
Right.
I've been there 100%. I've done it multiple times. I was telling somebody just the other day, like, oh yeah, I've done that a couple of times. And she laughed. She was like, I was like, what's so funny? It was just so funny because I'm telling you this big plan that I have, and you're like, oh yeah, I've done that a couple of times. I was like, oh yeah, my bad. I'm so sorry. But it's true. And
you've been around the block.
And I was trying to tell her, like, this is not something you're gonna do forever.
Right.
I can dig it, and let's give it a go. But we need to start putting together some real plans.
Yeah, like what's going to happen long term. Yeah, man. So being sore is not necessarily the mark of a good program. You could be sore and be executing a really shitty program, or a program that doesn't have any sort of long term goal or long term plan. So it's not necessarily true, but you do also have to be sore if you want to build muscle. It's a part of the process. So you got to find that balance. And so the sign of a good program is getting you sore in the right way at the right time and for the right reasons. And for that you need a fair amount of foresight. You got to know what you're doing and all. You got to know what you're programming for. And then when you get into the gym, you got to know how to execute that stuff. Going back to Michael's pull-ups. If you are working negatives, you got to know exactly how to execute that. And so, there's a lot of crap that goes into it. But one of the biggest things that I'll kind of close off with these 2 points. One of the biggest things that drives me crazy is the idea of, oh, I'm sore, I shouldn't move. It's the exact opposite of what you should do.
Yeah.
If you're really, really sore, you should get your butt in the gym. Move around a little bit. You'll feel 1,000 times better. I promise, especially if you're optimizing all the other stuff, water, sleep, protein intake, all that stuff. You'll feel 1,000% better if you get into the gym and move around. Guarantee it. Go give it a try if you don't believe me. But then the second thing is the idea that you need to be dragging your ass out of the gym every single session.
Yeah.
We had a workout earlier this week. Oh, and be really, really tore up every single session. We had a workout yesterday that was nasty. It was pushing people into like zone 4, zone 5 of their heart rate. It was really, really intense, and it was short. I mean, it was like 12-minute workout, something like that. It was really, really quick.
Very most 15 minutes, and at the quickest like 12. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was nasty. It was just
fast.
nonstop. Balls to the walls, given everything you got. Heart rate was through the roof, and a lot of people that I know train that way all the time.
Yeah,
because of that feeling, they feel like they get something out of it. They're like, "Yeah, I crushed it, I killed it." So this is just a cautionary tale. So just think of it as a PSA. That is not necessarily the best way to train. It certainly is not good to train that way all the time. If you're maxing those out 2 to 3 times a week, then you're pretty much at the max of what you would want to do for that particular type of workout. Because what ends up happening, if your body is stressed out that way, if that's what you're doing to get sore all the time, then what's going to happen is your body is too stressed too often, and you're going to start getting some negative repercussions. The least of which, or the one of the worst ones, is your cortisol is going to start to spike. It's going to go through the roof. Behaves in a very similar way to insulin on a molecularly, and it's not good. You have to give yourself some variety and a chance to recover. Working out and improving your body is a two-sided coin. On the one side, you have your workouts where you tear yourself up, you push yourself to the limit, you're going crazy. And then on the other side is the recovery. Yeah. All of the building happens during the recovery. So yeah, don't be discouraged. If you're super sore and you're hurting, don't be discouraged. Get back into the gym. Make sure that if you want to quicken your recovery, get that water, get the protein, make sure you're sleeping enough, which is 7 to 8 hours. That is the definition of enough. You're not special. You're special right here, but you're not special biologically. You need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. There's the literature behind that is I mean, it's as close to proof as you can possibly be scientifically.
Aside from being sleep yourself.
I have become sleep.
I am sleep.
Get your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and you'll be optimized. You'll be as optimized as your genetics and current fitness level are going to allow you to be. And then keep moving. Yeah. Go to the gym the next day and maybe don't push 100%, whatever you got to do, but don't stop because you are in pain. It's counterintuitive. Literally everything else. If you touch a hot stove, you're going to stop doing that because it hurts. Yeah. This is not intuitive, but it is.
Or you're going to keep touching the stove to get your hands stronger so that it can take more burns.
Which is essentially what we do.
I am invincible. Yeah. It's okay though. It's a learning process. It's just like this, like you once started a podcast, and like the whole time I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
You weren't like that the whole time.
I'm too nervous. I don't like talking to new people. No, I'm not talking to anybody but you. It's
I think when I said, hey, let's do it, I want to do a podcast. Will you do a podcast with me? And I think your exact words were, yeah.
You're like, all right. Encouragement. Teamwork.
That's enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. If that's what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah. You were kicking and screaming the whole way.
But like even now we took a little break. Now we're back on them. And even the first one was like, that was weird, right? It was weird because we're like we want to make sure we do a good job. But
we're trying to find our style, right? Trying to figure out how to do it.
If we're just trying to be real, we're talking about soreness. It's good to be sore. Don't be so sore that you can't do what it is that you like to do, especially if coming in the gym every day is your plan. Right. You're going to need to be a little sore, not a whole lot of sore. And you're going to have time to rest if your overall goal is to progress and optimize your life, your health, your overall functionality. Stop beating against stop. It's good to go against the grain when everybody, everything in the grain is garbage, fight against that for sure. But other than that, if everybody's doing the same thing, it's probably good to kind of optimize it and make sure that you're doing it appropriately and that you're not just banging your head against the wall, shooting yourself in the foot. Let's optimize it. Let's get the right amount of sore. Let's work on all these little parts together, and we'll continue to grow in the process. Like the podcast will just get smooth. It'll just get smooth, and we're just like, yeah, man, I can dig that.
You were just without remorse dropping those truth bombs all over everybody. Blowing people up with truth bombs. There's going to be truth fallout for years.
I don't know what fallout looks like.
Just to get
Michael's truth bomb changed everything.
The fire will cleanse me. We don't want any of that to happen.
I wouldn't have to do no more push-ups though.
Actually, you would
that's
not.
A lie. If I survived, I just
have to do
push-ups all day,
dude. Book of Eli style. I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you got anything else to say? You got anything else you want to talk about with soreness or anything? We covered a lot of ground in a lot of places.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. Reach out to your closest fitness friend. Let's touch some bases together.
If you don't have one, reach out to us.
I was going to say, if you don't have one, we're the Two Coaches Podcast. You can find us at Transcend Fitness. I'm Coach Michael.
We'll touch bases with you.
This is Coach Rob.
Oh, I'm Coach Rob.
And we'll see you when we see you.
Be good, guys. Yeah. To that point, always reach out if you need anything. We're here for you. This is what we love to do, and we want to help people who are just starting out. This is all about people who are trying to get in it. They're in that first year and they're trying to hit that next level. That's who we're here to talk to. So let us know what you need, and if you have any ideas about things that you want us to talk about, drop us a comment and let us know so we can address it on an episode. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Find
us on Facebook. Don't forget to hit subscribe, smash that like button. I've always wanted to say those. I just want to.
You did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We will catch you on the Flippy Floppy. Later. No, we're gonna get copyrighted because you're too good.
Shazam it. It's me.